stop now. I can't do that voice forever or during this entire review. So anyway, sorry about the lighting as well. But anyway, we're gonna okay. So anyway, we're gonna do our review this time on Batman v Superman. Now, currently, I'm gonna try to review every single DC movie before the year ends. I think I'm gonna probably review Wonder Woman before. It's probably gonna be the last review before the year ends. But anyway, we're doing a review on Batman v Superman, and this one is a very controversial film. So, I expect this video to be 40 to 50 minutes long. But defending some stuff because I love the film. So yeah, I'm wearing my Superman shirt, have this Batman mask. But yeah, so yeah, let's start with the story. So the first scene is the death of Bruce Wayne's parents. It was done in a very poetic way, and then we see the bats take Bruce to the light. And then the next scene, we see Bruce many years later in his point of view during the whole Metropolis and Kryptonian incident. I wonder what that event would be called in that period. But anyway, Bruce Wayne is in Metropolis to help, save his workers from the incident while it's occurring. You get to see everything like ships, ships everywhere, planes crashing, you know, ships sent to the Phantom Zone, all of that. But we also, yeah, we get to, in this scene, it helps shows how Bruce Wayne sees the destruction by the Kryptonians and Superman. So then we jump to 18 months later, where Lois Lane is interviewing a guy in Africa, and then something goes wrong, and then which leads to her being in danger, and then Superman comes in, saves her. The usual stuff with Superman movies or anything Superman. But this time, the next scene after Superman saves Lois, he is accused of killing, people in the area that he is in. So Bruce Wayne, or Batman now, is looking for information on the White Portuguese. He doesn't know who he is or what it is or anything about it. He's just trying to find information on the White Portuguese. Meanwhile, Lex Luthor is trying to get an import license for some kryptonite. Although he does get some access to the Kryptonian ship, and also he gets access to, get Zod's body, but he is denied the import license. But this doesn't really matter, seeing how he does get the kryptonite later. The investigation of the White Portuguese leads Bruce Wayne to Lex, and Bruce Wayne then gets invited by Lex to to his house for a party and stuff. So Bruce Wayne goes to the party, and he uses a device to steal Lex Luthor's files, but he has to wait for a while, so he gets interviewed by Clark Kent, who, and this scene shows how they both have different views. Like Superman's talking about how, that Batman's going extreme, or, he's making people scared and stuff, while Batman's saying that it's hypocritical for him to call out Batman when Metropolis has a superhero, which is, he's obviously referring to Superman. So anyway, Bruce Wayne goes back to get his device, but then his device was stolen by a woman, and she runs off and has the device, and Bruce doesn't have the device. So the next scene, we see how people have mixed thoughts on Superman, whether, he's he's going a little too far, he has too much power, or, he's just a guy trying to help and stuff. So that's how we see mixed thoughts on people, and I really like it how it shows there's a divide on people's thoughts on Superman. So anyway, meanwhile, Lex is, freed a guy from prison named Wally, who is a survivor in the Metropolis attack, and was also helped by Bruce Wayne, when his legs were stuck by concrete or whatever it was, or debris. And Wally wants to face Superman in a hearing. So Bruce Wayne finds the woman that stole the device, and the reason she did it was to try to get a photograph that Lex Luthor has. So Bruce Wayne with his device now, finds out that the White Portuguese is actually a ship. So he dresses up as Batman, uses a Batmobile, and attempts to steal the kryptonite from Lex Luthor, which was what the White Portuguese was carrying. But then, but Superman stops him. And when Batman says, "Do you bleed?" to Superman, this help shows how Batman doesn't see Superman human. He just sees him as an evil or like just not human thing at all. So then, after that, while the committee wants Superman in a hearing. So Superman actually does go to the hearing, but something goes wrong. Wally's wheelchair, which was given by Lex, explodes, killing everyone but Superman. Around the blast radius, and this bombing and including some letters motivates Batman to steal the kryptonite and prepare to fight Superman. But during this, when Batman uses the device to look around some more files, he finds out the woman that stole the device that wanted to get the photograph is actually more been around this earth since more than a century now, seeing how he found a photo in 1918 with the woman in the picture. So there's that as well. And also Superman around this time is conflicted since the bombing occurred, questioning everything. This gives Lex the opportunity to, well, along with Batman now putting on his bat signal, gives him time to, well, kidnap Martha Kent and kidnap Lois Lane. But Superman does save Lois Lane, but Lex tells Superman that if he does not fight Batman, then he'll kill Martha Kent. So Superman tries to convince Batman to help him, but Batman is in no mood to help because he wants to kill Superman, so he could get rid of a threat to humanity. So they fight, and I like the fight how it shows Superman's strength, but also shows Superman how he is prepared. He'll throw everything at him, and how he's skilled at combat. So anyway, the fight ends with Batman victorious, and he's about to kill Superman until he finds out that Superman's mom is in danger. So Batman decides to help save Martha, and he does succeed in that. And Superman confronts Lex. But Lex actually created a monster using General Zod's body to make Doomsday. And he made Doomsday to kill Superman. So Doomsday and Superman fight. And the fight does end with Superman getting hit by a nuke in space, so he's out of the fight for a while. So Batman leads Doomsday to, the building where Superman and Batman fought, because that's where Batman left his kryptonite. And Batman's about to be killed until the woman earlier, or now at this point we already know who she is, it's Wonder Woman, saves Batman's life, and then Superman returns to the fight as well. And then the three of them try to fight Doomsday to defeat him, and destroy. So near the end of the fight now, Superman decides to sacrifice himself by stabbing Doomsday with the kryptonite in the chest, but Superman is also stabbed in the chest by Doomsday, and they both die. So then after that, Lex gets arrested, and there are two funerals, one for Clark, one for Superman. And, we see people paying their, being the funerals, paying their respects to Superman and Clark. And Batman tells Wonder Woman that they need, they too, and some of the others in the files that we saw earlier, when Batman showed or shared the files with Wonder Woman earlier, that they need to get those people and them together to form a team to fight against evil, because Lex hinted at someone in space coming to Earth. So, yeah, and the movie ends with hinting at Superman's return. The action scenes here were much better than Man of Steel, or at least how they were filmed. They were more stable and more control. But the action scenes were really cool. Actually, they were really great. I really like I said, the the way the Bruce Wayne's parents' death were was really poetic. It was done in a new style, and I really liked that. It made it more fresh compared to the other Bruce Wayne deaths as we've seen it throughout many times now. And the opening with the Metropolis scene with Bruce Wayne was great. You got to see how people saw Superman and the Kryptonians, how they saw destruction and how they were scared and didn't know what to do, confused, all that. I really loved that. That was great as well. The That really helps you hooked into this movie. And like many of the action scenes were great. I also loved the Batmobile chase scene. That was awesome. And the killing part, I'll get to that later. But anyway, that was great. I also really loved the Batman versus Superman part. The fight itself. I haven't seen that many people talk about it. Like some people, I think there were some people that said it's too short, should have been longer. Now, maybe it should have been longer, but I think it was. But with what we got, it was pretty awesome. It was like it felt like a comic book. Like it felt like it was ripped out of the comic books. Like it was really great. I really loved the fight. And like I said, it showed Superman's strength. Also showed Batman how he's strategic and also throws everything at him. You know. And I really loved the fight. And also the Doomsday fight versus Wonder Woman, Batman, and Superman was awesome. I remember seeing that in theater. And I was like, finally, we finally get to see Wonder Woman, Superman, Batman fighting together. It's like the Avengers, except with three superheroes that are from DC. Finally, DC have made a fight scene, like a big fight scene. I was so happy when I saw that. I was like, it was my dream to see, like, like I said, like the Justice League. Well, although this is not the Justice League, it was close enough at the time to finally fighting together against something in the big screen. It was great. I really loved it. Like, I loved that. Ah. Yeah, that was great. Even though people didn't like Doomsday, I do think Doomsday was needed for. Actually, wait, I'll explain that later. But yeah, the fight was awesome. It was pretty great. I really loved it. But yeah, let's go to the characters. People said they did not like the characters, or like they didn't like Superman, the character himself. And this time, I disagree. I actually cared about the Superman here. The problem with Man of Steel was you didn't really care about Superman that much. But here you do. You actually do get to care about Superman, in my opinion. And also Matthew Brando, who made a podcast on defending Batman v Superman. He also, like, I take many of my points from him because that's where many of my opinions started forming or something, like, or at least that's where it made me think about what I loved and help point out what I loved about the movie. But anyway, the character of Superman, I think, was done great. Like, you actually cared about Superman. You see him conflicted, how he was just a guy wanting to do good. That's all he wanted to do, doing it for his father, but, he just wanted to do good. But he's getting conflicted because there are people around him, that are kind of against him. Like there's so much like like half of people were for Superman, including Lois Lane, but there were also the other half who are against Superman, like Lex Luthor. Like those two characters are kind of like at different viewpoints, and I really also liked how they did that. But Superman is conflicted because he because people are telling him he's not good, or they have mixed feelings about Superman. Like people are worried he's gonna take his power too far. I I really like this Superman, and I'm gonna speak about his death later. But like that death was sad. I was like, because he was on this planet for the amount of time he was on this planet as Superman. He was just told how no one really liked him. Or like basically we see how people don't like Superman. He's an alien, or he's he's going to be dangerous or something. But he he ignores that. He sees the good side of people and he sacrifices himself for them, which I really liked. And I think I just explained the whole entire death. Like that death was pretty sad actually, because like how we see how like Earth isn't entirely perfect, but they're filled with good people, and with it, I liked his death. It was pretty good. Now it was a little too cliched when he said like to Lois like "You're my world," but I was still a little sad when he got killed, and I was like, "Are you dead?" Wow, I was very surprised by his death actually. Like his death very much surprised me. I did not actually think that they would actually kill him off, but his death here actually makes more sense story wise, because his death here actually, well, actually no, I'll defend that part later. But anyway, yeah, so let's go to the character of Batman. Batman here, this Batman has to be the best Batman I have seen so far. Like I've seen Michael Keaton, I've seen Val Kilmer, I have not seen George Clooney's, but I'm probably not gonna like it from what I've seen so far. I have seen Christian Bale. Now I haven't seen much of Conroy, so yeah, but anyway, out of all the live action Batmans I've seen, this Batman has to be the best Batman. Ben Affleck did a great job as Batman. Like Christian, he beats Christian Bale with one movie, while Christian Bale was in three. Like you can see how he's aged. Like he doesn't, like many of the great scenes of Batman was him staring with him not saying any dialogue. He's just like when he's looking at the bat suit, he's like this. You could see how he's like starting to, you know, he's wondering whether the Batman is starting to go wrong, like whether he's going too extreme. That was what one dream sequence, like when he was bitten by a bat, you know, that was what that one dream sequence was telling us. And that was like before, when Batman was staring at his masks, whether he's going too extreme. But like we also see how he thinks Superman is dangerous. Like we have a nightmare scene on what Earth could be like in the next few years. Seeing how Superman rules everything. There are people that worship him or serve him, and now Superman's gone too far. Killing people now. Like that's how Batman sees Superman. Like they really show how Batman doesn't like Superman. He thinks he's too dangerous, and he's aged through Gotham. There's this one line saying like 20 years in Gotham, he's seen what promises were worth. How many good guys are left? How many stayed that way? That shows like how he doesn't trust Superman. And then also shows why he kills people. He's aged through so much. Like there was this one line saying like criminals are like weeds, Alfred. Pick one out and another one pops in its place. Like he's grown tired of how he thinks that the way like the justice system or how he's doing it isn't good enough. So he's just resorted to the extreme way, just killing the criminals. That's it. Or going very brutal on them. Like I really, really liked the character of Batman. And I'm going to explain the Martha scene in more detail, but but Superman actually helps Batman turn into a better person. Like when he sees his humanity and stuff, although he does still kill people after that. But when Superman dies, Batman becomes like more humanity. Like, well, not humanity. He becomes less extreme. Like the Batman we've seen in most of the movie, he would have branded Lex Luthor. But when when he's about to brand okay, oh, sorry. But new Batman doesn't brand Luthor. He becomes less extreme because Superman is making him a better person this time. He's seen his mistakes and he wants to move on from that now, which I really liked about Batman in this movie. He was also epic with that score and stuff. That was great. The score in this movie is probably one of my favorite scores in cinemas or a superhero score ever. Now it doesn't beat the Dark Knight trilogy score because that fits in perfectly with the movie. But this is like probably somewhere below that, like very close. But this score is great. You still have the Superman score, which is pretty cool actually. I do still like it. But you also had the Batman score, which is pretty epic actually. It really is like the Batmobile chase scene. It was pretty great. And also the score for the deaths of Bruce Wayne parents are actually pretty good as well. And also the Lex Luthor score is pretty good as well. I really like it. Like, wow, that is great. Like, I don't know how to describe it. Someone described it in a video, like when I was listening to Lex Luthor's score in YouTube. Like, someone was able to perfectly describe how this fits in with Lex Luthor. But that was great as well. Wonder Woman's theme. Wow, that was great as well. Like, oh my gosh, that was great. Like, I remember seeing the movie. Like, I still remember, like, where Wonder Woman, like Batman's about to die, and then Doomsday shoots his lasers. Then someone's deflecting it. Then, when we see Wonder Woman, the theme plays. I'm just like, wow, that is freaking awesome. And I remember everyone clapping. We were like, yes, like that was epic. Like, there's so many ways to describe this. Like, the score helps with it, like helps make the movie, and this score is better than Man of Steel's. This tops the score. It really does. And the score during the Superman's death, like, you're like, wait, is he actually dead? Oh my gosh. And you're just like, I'm getting a little teared up actually, because oh my gosh, because you're like sad as Lois Lane as well, because he's like dead, and like, oh shoot, Superman, you died. No, you were a good person. Man. And that funeral scene, and then yeah, so yeah, the score was really great here. Okay, Lex Luthor, he was great. I'm serious. Like, I cannot tell you how many people I've seen say they did not like Lex Luthor. Like, many people on the internet, like Nostalgia Critic doesn't like it. Like Chris Stuckman doesn't like it. The Flick Pick, I think, also doesn't like it. Even one of my friends, Kyle, doesn't like it, and I can understand. And I think I know why. It's because they've changed the character of Lex Luthor. You know, People are more used to the calculative, has less issues Lex Luthor. But this performance by Jesse Eisenberg was great, in my opinion. This is one of my favorite villains in a superhero movie. I really believe that. Even my brother, who doesn't like Batman v Superman anymore, still thinks Lex Luthor is pretty good in this movie. Now, here's why. In the beginning of the movie, we see him as a more outgoing guy. He does like talk. Well, obviously he has to talk, but you do see him. He has conversation with people. He seems a little more outgoing at first, but that's him in the public. In the behind the scenes, though, like the first scene we see him is like outgoing. He's playing basketball. He's like, "Ahoy, ahoy! I did not know you were here." That's him as an outgoing person. But he's trying to manipulate. But he's trying to use his good personality, try to show people, "Hey, I'm not bad. I'm not a bad guy. Give me this import license for some kryptonite." And he still does that when, to the senator when, invites her to his room, the living room and stuff. He's just like, trying to humanize himself a bit. But when the woman says he won't get him what he want, he pauses for a bit, and then the Lex Luthor theme, or like, he's like, dun, the red capes are coming. The red capes are coming. He drops the act. He's kind of making you uneasy, and I think that's the point. He's trying to make you uneasy now because he knows this woman is too smart for that now. People are like, wow. He isn't like putting on an act anymore. Do you know the oldest line in America, Senator? Like, this guy actually has lots of memorable lines. Like, do you know the oldest line in America, Senator? Or the red capes are coming. All that. Like, he was pretty good in this movie. But here's some other things I'd like to bring up. Like, you could tell this person has issues, and the reason Lex Luthor is the way he is because this is a reimagining. They're taking him they're turning Lex Luthor in a new way, but into the character many of you know and love, because I haven't seen the original Superman movie and I have not seen the comics or read the comics. Sorry, but this Lex Luthor I really liked though, because like, when he's during the party scene, he's talking, trying to be outgoing and stuff. At the end, you see how he's starting to see he has some issues. Knowledge is power, but if you do not have power, then that is paradoxical. Like, you see how he has issues, and the reason for his issues, well, actually, I'll go in. Like, people say there's no reason to hate Superman, or something like that. Like, they did not think he had a reason to hate Superman. The reason he hates Superman is because, well, he thinks Superman is basically God, kind of. He thinks he is, well, God, basically. Because, like, Lex Luthor believes that it's God's fault for him getting abused by his father, or beaten by his father, because that's what his father did for punishment, I guess, because there are people out there who actually do, like, beat up their son. So he thinks it's God's fault for not protecting him, and when Superman comes in, he believes it's time for his revenge against God. And people think his plan is a bit convoluted. In the Ultimate Edition, it is a little more convoluted, but it isn't bad, actually. I do like his plan. His plan was to get these two figures to fight each other. Now, Batman already has a hatred of Superman, and Lex probably knew that, seeing how he destroyed a building. So he used little pieces, trying to get them to fight each other. Letters of, "You let your family die!" With all that, and waiting for Batman to finally challenge Superman. And when the time was right, he would, kidnap Martha Kent and Lois Lane, seeing how the bombing at the Capitol was used to put Superman in a conflicted state, meaning he would not be superheroing for a while, which would lead to the kidnappings, and, he would try to get Superman's attention, attempting to kill Lois. And when Superman was there, he would then tell him how he kidnapped Martha Kent. And this Superman, actually, I forgot to mention, this Superman is a young Superman. That's why, like, people are expecting a new, like, the old Superman. This one is a younger Superman. I forgot to mention that in my Superman part. But this one's a younger Superman. That's why he is making some mistakes. That why he didn't just, like, save Martha. He doesn't know what to do. He's more conflicted. That's why all of this is happening. So, yeah, he uses Martha Kent to have Superman fight Batman. And either way, it's a win for Lex Luthor. Because he's creating Doomsday right now. Because here's the thing. If Batman kills Superman, that's a win for Lex. If Superman kills Batman, then Doomsday will kill Superman. There he goes. He still wins. Like, that's how he thought the fight was either going to go out. One was going to die. Whoever it was, And his plan was to kill Superman all this time. That's why I like this Lex Luthor. Like, he is a more interesting take on Lex. He's crazy, but he's still very intelligent and very much in control. He isn't entirely insane like the Joker. He's just a little crazy. People make comparison that he's like the Joker, but he's not. The Joker is insane, just wants to spread chaos. Lex Luthor just wants to take down Superman. That's the plan. That was it. Okay, so we're gonna go other characters, and then next we'll probably go to some other stuff. But next we're going to do other characters. So before I get to Wonder Woman, let's get to some other characters. I already mentioned Lex. There was also Lois Lane. She was still actually pretty good. She was pretty good as the last one. She went to look for some. Whenever she could find a piece of next story. Investigate, see how many layers of the case there are. Stuff like that. Like everything I said in the Man of Steel it still kind of applies here. Although this time, well, around this time, people are saying Superman is, a killer now. So she went to investigate to see what's actually going on. So I guess that does help make the love story a little better. Like she goes all this way to see, to help prove Superman's innocence and stuff. So that's still good. But yeah, what other characters? There was also Doomsday. Now, people don't like Doomsday, and he's just a monster just to kill Superman. That's it. Well, and also to bring the Justice League together. That was it. He was there for the fight and to kill Superman and to help bring, have a monster for the battle. That's it. That's all that Doomsday was. And now let's go to Wonder Woman. Now, Wonder Woman here was great. Like, she was great. She was a good Wonder Woman. I don't see, like, if they reboot Wonder Woman, I don't know how they're gonna top this one. But anyway, I'll explain more why I love, like, the character of Wonder Woman and Wonder Woman, seeing how we get more character there. But here, what we get here is a mysterious person. Like, the music was played really well. Like, like you do get this mysterious presence from her. I did like that. So, yeah, that was pretty great. And she mentions how she walked away from humanity and stuff, because she's seen horrors, she kind of given up on humanity like Superman. Like Batman. Kind of like Batman a bit. Although Batman takes that to more extreme measures. But yeah, so I really liked Wonder Woman in this movie. She was great as well. Geez, like when she charges to the Doomsday, she just jumps in the air. I'm like, wow. Can't mess with this person. You're gonna get destroyed. So yeah, let's just talk about some other stuff I have to defend. So yeah, so there are many things people don't like about this movie. One is the killing, which I already explained like minutes ago. So yeah, there's also the should I save the big ones last year? I'll mention it now. So the Martha scene. The Martha scene is probably the most infamous thing hated in this movie. And like me, I don't think it was bad. Like there are other people as well who actually agree with me why this isn't bad. It's not because they have the same names. That's not why Batman decides to help Superman and sees that's not why Superman and Batman basically become buddies at this point. The reason this entire thing happened was because here's the gist. Superman is like about to get stabbed with kryptonite, but Superman mentions Martha, and Martha is actually Bruce Wayne's parents' name, and he gets flashbacks of the of the death of his parents. he says, "Why do you say that name?" And Lois tells him that it was Superman's mother's name. Now, this was there to help show the humanity of Superman, because Batman in this entire movie was seeing how Superman was basically not human. He's powerful. He's gonna destroy the world, basically. But when she mentions Martha, this shows this helps Batman show Superman in a whole new way. This helps shows that Superman is more human, because Batman didn't imagine that. What is that? Sorry. I'm sorry. But anyway, this helps show Batman that Superman is more human, because he wouldn't imagine that Superman had a mom. And this helps shows and okay, and Batman's mother being the same name to Superman's mom helps show that Batman and Superman are not that different. That's what that scene was. That was what that scene was for. Like, wow. Like, I can't believe this many people like misunderstood that. Like, what? Many people thought it was that reason. Like, it was the same names. That's why they're together. Like, people always keep doing that. It's kind of annoying now. It really gets annoying. Another thing is Superman's death, and here's why I think that is important here. The reason his death was done was because this. It was to help bring the Justice League together. That was the reason. And, others. Okay, here's what I mean. Lex Luthor said that he sent a message that Superman's dead. And because of that, because there's no Superman, that means the bad guys are going to be coming to Earth to basically wreak havoc and stuff. Well, I'll explain what exactly happens in Justice League. That's the reason why Superman's death is important. But it's also important because it also helps make Batman a better person. That's another reason why. It also helps complete Superman's arc as well. Helps complete both of their arcs, Superman's arc and Batman's arc. That's also another reason why. And because Batman's now a better person, and now he wants to bring people together to fight against evil, as I mentioned. So here, his death makes sense. And seeing how the ending basically hints that Superman's going to return. Most of us already know Superman is part of the Justice League, so he's obviously going to come back. But this death actually holds some meaning. That's why I like this death better than the death Nick Fury's death. Well, death in Winter Soldier, because we thought he was dead, then he was not dead, and you're like, really, Marvel? Come on. But here it makes sense. That's why I like this death here. So I forgot to mention the warehouse scene, so I thought I may as well mention it here. So the warehouse scene is the best, this is the best Batman action scene ever. This perfectly shows what Batman basically is. Now, killing people is not what Batman is, although basically many of the live action Batmans have killed someone at some point. But anyway, this helps shows how brutal he is, how he can take down he has devices that could stop people's guns. He's great at fighting. He could take on a group of people. That is great. Wow. Just wow, that is great. I really love this fight scene. This was well edited. Like Zack Snyder did a great job here. Like, it showed how Batman was brutal, how he can, how he's able to, he's strategic, and, how he can hold his own against a bunch of people. This shows how awesome he is. And even when he gets stabbed, he gets stabbed with a knife, this helps, this is where Batman starts to becomes more quicker, ends the fight more sooner. I really like that. That perfectly shows who Batman is. Now I realize there's a bunch of other stuff I forgot to mention, and I might as well mention them before my final thoughts. So let's go to the other stuff. I also forgot to mention the nightmare scene, and that is great as well. Like that was like there were a few cuts, and then it was a one take through the rest of the fight scene. That was great. But I really like that nightmare scene. And also, people mention the nightmare scene makes no sense when it was perfectly showing what Bruce Wayne, fear of Superman. So that was great. Alfred was great as well. He was kind of sarcastic a bit, but he was more like a kind of like an accomplice to Batman, as someone put it. Like this Alfred was more helpful. How he was watching out for Batman. He is the best Alfred as well. That is the best Alfred we've ever gotten. So this movie has the best Superman, best Batman, and best Alfred, and also the best Lois Lane, and also the best Lex Luthor. Jeez, this movie's on a roll with the best stuff, in my opinion. Like, wow, Zack Snyder did a great job here. And the world as a whole was great. This movie actually felt like a comic book. Like, it really did. It really did feel like a comic book. Like, the moment, like, the moment where I was thinking, feels like a comic book, was the Batman v Superman fight scene. It was great. I really loved it. The world was pretty good. It was still pretty good. Like, the Batman scenes were also pretty cool. Like, the Batcave looks pretty cool now. We also have the best Batmobile. Wow, this movie's really great at everything. We also have the best Wonder Woman, and oh my gosh. Okay, if I'm gonna keep naming stuff that is the best something, this movie is going to make me, this is gonna make me want to watch the movie again. Like, wow, this movie did a great job. But what I'm trying to say is the world, they help you show you the world more. They, like, the shots were great. That's what I'm trying to say, though. This is Zack Snyder's best film, as I've seen. Like, we have this, Justice League, and Man of Steel. Now, Justice League technically doesn't entirely count until they release the Snyder cut for Justice League. I only have Man of Steel and Zack Snyder. But as far as I know, this is Zack Snyder's best film, as I've seen so far. And there's probably nothing that's going to top it for me. But, yeah, so, wow, that was just, like, a lot of cool stuff there. Like, the action scenes were great. Like, the way the film, like, the way it was shot, the way this was edited was great. So, yeah, let's just go to final thoughts now. This movie is great and awesome. Like, you didn't entirely, like, when I watched this movie, I didn't know entirely where it was gonna go. Like, they had, well, actually, no, they had surprises. Like, Lex Luthor was, like, they had a different take on Lex Luthor. They had a bit of a different take on Batman. They killed Superman, actually. We got a Doomsday fight. Wonder Woman was in this. Like, wow, this movie was great. I really loved this movie. Now, this movie did require a few viewings. Like, the first viewing, although I had some issues, like, I was like, Lex Luthor, like, I didn't understand Lex Luthor that much. Like, what does he want? That was one part, and I was like, the some parts was pretty great. Like, Superman was pretty good. But when I watched it again, I loved it a lot more. Like, I understood more about Lex Luthor, why this was needed. I think the plan, Lex Luthor and his plan, was probably what made me give this movie a lower grade. But when I watched it the second time, it was more great. And when when I got it on DVD, I kept watching that movie for almost, like, for one day per week. Or no, like an entire week per day. Like, that was how great That was how great this movie was. And when it was free on Xfinity, I did that again. Oh my gosh, this movie was great. Like, I really loved it. Now, if you do not like this movie, then fine. But, like, many people's reasons for not liking this movie is they didn't really understand this or that, so it must be bad. And I do think it's a little hypocritical, would you think? Because people pan this movie for being like a setup movie when movies like Age of Ultron was also a setup movie. Like there are many Marvel movies. There are like a few Marvel movies around this time that did feel like a setup movie at this point. So it did seem a little hypocritical to bash this movie while there were other movies that they could have bashed as well. But that's all right. At least I love it. And some people, and in this one group uh, like I put a poll in Facebook on what did people think on this Batman v Superman, good, bad, or okay. Lots of people said good on okay. Like more people said good than okay, and more people said okay than bad. So I think this movie's starting to get some more credit than critics gave it. Like we had the best Batman, best Superman, best Lois Lane, best Lex Luthor, best Wonder Woman, best Alfred, best Batmobile. Like this movie has a package of awesome, great stuff. Best action scenes, it was just great. I really love this movie. I'm gonna give this an A plus. This definitely deserves an A plus, and I think this is my first A plus ever. Is it really my first A? Yeah, this is the first A plus I've ever given a movie. Well, like I reviewed Fantastic Beasts, the two Fantastic Beasts films, and I reviewed Man of Steel. This is probably my first A plus movie that I've given to a movie. So, good job, Batman v Superman. Well, probably because these are one of the first films, but to review. But Batman v Superman is great. I think people should definitely see it and give it more credit. Give the movie more credit that it deserves, in my opinion. This movie's an A plus in my opinion, and I think it's the best Worlds of DC movie that we've gotten. Now, me in saying that doesn't mean that there isn't other good films in this series, because I do think there are still some other good films in this series. I haven't really found a bad one, but I do have a definite least favorite, and we'll mention that really soon. But yeah, so I've hoped you liked that.
What did you think? Do you agree with me? I'm Batman. But anyway, my next review is going to...
Okay, I'm just going to stop that now. It's getting ridiculous. But anyway, yeah, do you guys agree with me with my thoughts? What are your opinion? What is your opinion on this movie? I also like the thumbnail I made for this video. It's probably my favorite thumbnail I've made so far. But yeah, so my next review is going to be Suicide Squad. So, can't wait to talk about that. So what do you guys think of this movie? But yeah, so see you later.